The Disneyland Tram will soon return from the dead, and we interject our own theory on this construction project. Lightning Lane is creating some long lines for those that paid. 3 major attractions in Disneyland announced March refurbishments, and one land is going away for a year. Food and Wine Festival gives out some details as 3 events come to an end. Construction, refurbishments, and all that Disneyland news. It's your weekly update of everything new that's happening at the Disneyland Resort. Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Bricky here with your weekly update of everything new that's happening at the Disneyland Resort. Let me start off today's video by wishing everyone a very happy Valentine's Day. Friend, did you hear the good word? The tram is coming back. We have an official date. Driver, you are clear.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the Mickey and Friends Tram.
That's right, friends. The trams are returning in just a little over a week and a half. As of yesterday, when I was filming this week's episode of Update, you can see that largely the tram path is back to being wide open. At the beginning of the year, when fans returned to the resort, they were a little bit shocked to see the tram path completely blocked off when we had heard the trams were coming back online. As the progress of this project went along, the tram path would open back up in the center, leaving construction flanking both the outer edges of the tram path and only in the area where guests are dropped off and picked back up, which got me thinking, why would they do this project now, and why are they only paving and working on the areas of unloading and loading? As you can see from the Esplanade view, everything was completely shut off when we showed up at the return of the new year, and now as of yesterday it is back to being close to wide open, so close to wide open that I just had to take this little stroll where typically we would come up here to either get dropped off or pick back up. But it is open, and it is such a great thing because this means, friends, this is one part of Forgotten Disneyland that has come back to life. That means this is one step closer to getting back to where the parks were back in sweet 2019. We didn't know it was the good old days when we were living through the good old days. Am I right? Smash like just to let me know that I'm right and you appreciated 2019 so much more after living through 2020 and 2021. But this is what we're working with. These new areas have been put in only in the loading and offloading areas, which got me wondering, why just pave a little portion of it? Why not pave it all? Because as you look around, it's pretty patchwork, and that's pretty unlike Disney, which got me thinking about the future of transportation. Could they have possibly put magnetic chargers underneath the loading and unloading area? This is a technology that is working its way through Europe. As you can see, here's the example. When the car comes into a specific area, the sensors on the bottom of the car line up with the charging sensors that are below the concrete level, receiving power from an off-site power grid, but then pumping it back into the vehicle when it is in a stationary position. The sensors do not physically need to touch, as when the power is turned on, they can create a magnetic field between the two, which then transfers the power into the vehicle. This is being looked at for using in busing, and trams are in that same family. I think this graphic here best is an example of what I was imagining could have been done. So I'm going to show it to you twice, because imagine a bunch of sensors below the concrete level that the trams align with. When we came to do Update 9, I was able to not cheat, but simply look over a lower fence with my height. And if you look over to the left, you can see that there is a bed of sensors that were put into the drop-off area. And then you can also see that there was a bed of sensors put on the pickup area. 2 spots where the tram will sit stationary for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, sometimes, potentially giving the space for a recharge of an electric vehicle's battery. Looking above at the satellite photo, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 different areas where the paving was put in, therefore creating the potential for 4 vehicles to be charging at the exact same time. Now, they probably wouldn't be able to do a full charge, but the idea of electric charging vehicles is that you just keep putting a little bit more in the battery all day long. For example, Rise of the Resistance. When we're coming into the loading area, the vehicles are sitting stationary, and right there, they are able to catch a small bit of charge. Not enough to run them for the entire day, but the idea is the vehicles will stop here several times throughout the day, then they will go on their journey, catching a little bit of a charge. But when they go on certain elevator scenes in the ride, and there are 2 of those, they could then catch another quick charge. And the idea of the quick charging is that you're not trying to completely refuel the battery, you're trying to just keep putting power in whenever it's convenient for the vehicle. Much different than owning a gas-fueled car where you go to the gas station, you try to fill it up for the week, and then not have to worry about doing it or spending money. But with an EV vehicle, the idea is you charge at home, you charge at work, you charge when you're at the store. Much like us with our iPhones, we're always trying to get a hit off the sauce when possible. So not only does Rise have these 2 stationary areas of the loading and unloading where it sits for a generous amount of time, but it has those elevators for a potential quick hit of power throughout the process. So now imagine the tram is coming from Mickey and Friends and it's taking you to the park. As it pulls over to let you off, it's able to get a hit of power and then do the same thing as it's picking up the next batch of guests. Therefore, I don't think my fan theory is too insane because this all perfectly aligns up with the vehicle and with this technology. There are still a couple of pieces and parts sitting around on the tram route as they are not fully done. The trams come back on February 23rd. No mask requirements when riding them. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. With this song playing and walking on the tram path, inch by inch, we are getting back to normal, my friends. You can't let yourself cry over a tram, or can you? Hey, if you love the tram like I do, you should check out my video where I rode the tram for an entire operational day, doing over 100 laps on the tram. This is 99, lap 99. 100 will bring me back, and I still have a couple hours to go. I could stop at 100 and be completely cool, feel good about myself.
In your party have not crossed that yellow line.
Are you ready?
Do not do so. Another tram
Let's
will
do
be
it.
here shortly.
100. Setting the world record. Yes, I am the champion. This is my trail. Hey friends, wanted to do a quick lightning lane update. I was cruising through Avengers Campus when I started to notice a massive line on the wrong side of Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Like, why are all these people over here if the line is on the other side of the building? And you can see there's a wait time of 115 minutes. So I thought maybe they were at such capacity that they were putting people over here. And then the cast member that I asked, I said, is this a line for the attraction? She said, yeah. And I said, standby? And she said, no, lightning lane. All of these folks in this switchback lining over here are waiting to get on Guardians. So my question is, at what point does Disney sell so many lightning lane passes that the system starts to work against itself? This looks like a long time to wait to get onto attraction that I paid more money to get onto faster. What do you guys think? Do you think Lightning Lane will get so popular that eventually it will slow down to regular lane and then the other line will be painful lane? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. All right, friend, it's time for your refurbishments. Here are your refurbishments for February 2022. If you're making plans to come out to the park for the rest of this month, these are things to keep in mind. Splash Mountain is now scheduled to open up on March 7th, so it'll be closed for the duration of this month and the first week of next. Nothing major going on, just its usual annual refurbishment for water attractions because they really do take a beating because water destroys everything that it touches. And I will destroy you if you don't tell me, Lady Columbia, when is Fantasmic coming back? I know you know. Sailing Ship Columbia went down January 24th, and we do not have a reopening date, but we do know the reason why it's down is because of good news. Fantasmic is coming back, and seeing cast members on the top of Sailing Ship Columbia means that they're working aggressively on getting this show back up online. I refer to these cast members that wear the all black as the Disneyland roadies. Every afternoon, they come into the Rivers of America and they basically start setting up like the Van Halen concert that is Fantasmic, getting everything in place. And looking back at last week, you could see that there was scaffolding going out to Sailing Ship Columbia. That has now been removed. So it's making me think that they had a lot of equipment and whatnot that they had to get out to the boat, some touch-ups to do, and it seems like now they're just working on getting the show back. Tell me you know. And as part of the West End construction project on Downtown Disney, the monorail will be going down this Monday on Valentine's Day. They're saying it's opening up on March 6th, but as I keep saying, that might be a bit ambitious because there is a lot of demo and construction to be done right on the edge of the monorail path. But if you look at all the work that's going on out at Epcot, we see their monorail cruising over the top of pretty large-scale projects, so maybe March 6th will be accurate. And then Mark Twain is going to go down this month, but it comes back up on the nights of Sweetheart Nights because it is a part of that evening after hours event. So it was cruising on Thursday because there was one of those that night. Grizzly River Run will be down for the duration of February and into March. We do not have a reopening date just yet. If this is one of your favorite attractions, do know that it is drained and you will not be able to go on it and get splashed. And you'll miss all those amazing animatronics inside of the Bear Mountain. I wish. But it is such a different pace in this neck of the woods. See what I did there? When this ride is drained out. Even though it's one that I don't actively ride because of getting drenched, I do enjoy the back path and the sound that it puts in the Redwood Trail. It just really fills out this area of Disney's California Adventure. And I say that this is probably one of the few areas that actually kind of has Disneyland vibes where they went all in on the theming and it really feels transformative. And the emotional whirlwind, when we were looking at this last week on Update 12, there were scrims around the attraction. Now moving forward to this week, you'll see that the scrims are gone, but also so are the buckets. This was originally supposed to come back much sooner than 2/15. However, the buckets are gone. So yeah, I'm Mr. Bucket. Balls fall out of my mouth. Where do you put the kids when they're trying to get emotionally in the whirlwind? So I'll be curious to see if this actually does come back on Tuesday or not. But I was walking around this area filming this, and I have to just say, this is such a nice installation for such a basic ride. Friends, on top of all the closures that we gave you in last week's update about all the attractions that are closed in February, 3 major attractions inside of Disneyland will be closing in the month of March, Matterhorn being one of them. All right, we have 4 new refurbishments that were made to our attention this week for the month of March. Number 1, Matterhorn bobsleds will be going down at the end of February, but reopening on March 4th, so not that long. Many of you may remember it was down for quite some time back in 2021, so this is an attraction that goes down quite often. It is very old. It is the first of its kind. It is problematic, and they are always massaging it to get the Yeti just right. Now, Indiana Jones will also be doing a very short closure for March 8th through 11th. This is an attraction that has a lot of moving parts, and it often will go down for these little mini refurbs just to kind of tighten it all up and do some of the things that they just can't get done in the over-hour shifts. As we all know, this is an attraction that does kind of go down, not every day, but almost every day for an hour here or there. And it probably just has to do with the fact that, as I said, this ride has so many moving parts, and that is what makes it one of the most beloved attractions at the Disneyland Resort. And speaking of beloved attractions, maybe the favorite of them all, Pirates of the Caribbean will be going down on March 14th, and we do not have a reopening date for it. The calendar as of today goes up to March 24th, so we know it'll at least be down for 10 days. So in March, we got some of the heavy hitters over in Disneyland that will be down at various times. The popularity of Pirates is just something that never goes away. Like, absolutely an amazing attraction. The last one that Walt Disney would see in his lifetime. Little Mermaid is going back down again. This is interesting. This was down at the beginning of the year for a few days, going back down again at the end of this month, coming back up above water on March 13th. Might be a problem. I heard a rumor that they gave Ariel, what are they called? Feet? Maybe the feet aren't working properly and they got to reinstall them. And then last call, ToonTown. We officially have the date. March 9th will be when ToonTown goes away for over a year. So if you're a fan of the Gadgets Go coaster, or if you want to see Roger Rabbit in its current development, its current stage, one last time, then maybe this is something that you need to try to get done before March 9th. Gadgets Go coaster, I feel pretty confident it will come back unchanged or unscathed. Roger Rabbit, I just feel like they're going to get in there and mess around with some stuff to make it a little bit more appropriate. They've been kind of quiet exactly on what they're going to do with this one, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how different this attraction is when it comes back in 2023. And then 2 attractions lost at sea. Tarzan's Treehouse, absolutely no word of what's going on over here and when we're going to see it again. And then the true attraction that's lost at sea that was supposed to return in winter, but when it's 90 degrees out when I'm filming this, it does not feel like winter. Submarine Voyage, Finding Nemo, where are you? Can you find your way back to Disneyland? So there you go, friends. New attractions both in Disneyland and DCA adding on to the refurbishments list. The good thing is that most of these are just quick turnarounds, but there are 1 or 2 that'll be down for a bit. So always make sure when you buy your tickets, look on the calendar in the Disneyland app, and you can scroll down and see all the attractions that are scheduled to be closed on the day of your arrival. Therefore, you have the best plan to know, are you going to be able to do all your essentials when you visit the park next? All right, friends, a couple of new things that I found this week out at the resort. There are construction walls up around the Fantasy Fair over in Fantasyland. This project will get moved over to our project tracker as it develops, but for right now, it's brand new. So let's take a look at what's happening at the Royal Theater. You may remember this was Carnation Plaza Gardens until summer of 2011 when it officially became a part of Fantasyland. And then I found this little bit of history and nostalgia adorning the walls of this project, which happened to be one of the best things I found the entire day. Construction outside of the Fantasy Fair has something that is so awesome that you should check out on your next trip to Disneyland. It's these shields right here. These shields were put outside of the facades of the original 4 attractions over in Fantasyland. Each one of the dark rides had one of these shields on the outside to let people know what was going on inside. And as we all know, this would be the only time that you would see Peter Pan. This would be the only time that you would see Snow White, because you, the guest, was supposed to be the character going on their adventure. Incredibly smart, incredibly brilliant, went over most folks' head. Disney also included the shield for the Mickey Mouse Theater, which obviously is no longer a part of Fantasyland. So I love seeing these construction walls becoming a moment of education, a moment of history, taking something that is doing one purpose, which is blocking the guest view from the construction, but then doing a second purpose, which is adding a little bit of history, nostalgia, and education and information into the park. That's why I love Disneyland as a designer, because everything here needs to do 3 things in order to justify the precious amount of space that it takes up inside of Disneyland. Fantasy Fair Theater is currently down, and I'm in love with the construction walls. I always love these shields because of their graphic nature. It's pretty basic design. You can tell they were drawn by hand at a draftsperson at their table, and I just love how organically retro they are. This isn't making something to make it look old. This is something that is old. You can tell by the more chubby and friendlier Mickey Mouse there. But the Royal Theater has these walls all around this area. And if you look at how the scaffolding is parallel with the edge of the roof line, you can tell that they're doing some roof work. Another little thing that I found, which I thought was awesome, is these tables, the little 2-tops, have been added along the bridge that leads you over to the Pacific Wharf. What a great spot to be able to sit and eat on the side of the water here and kind of get away from all of the crowds over Pacific Wharf. Really love when these little areas pop up. And no news yet on the Magic Key Terrace, but I'll let you know something when I know something. Yeah, so Book of Boba Fett. I I'm happy to have Star Wars in my life, but Star Wars is starting to be a lot like pizza. Even when pizza's bad, you're still stoked that you have a slice of pizza. But that being said, pizza isn't always great. And I think I'm learning that about Star Wars. It's not always fantastic, it's not always great, but at the end of the day, as a kid who loved the original first 3 movies and dreamt of more Star Wars, I'm gonna go, yeah, Star Wars is like pizza. Even when it's bad, at least you got a slice of new Star Wars. Friends, never have I seen so many events going on all at once, and also after dark events, which I would say make sure if you buy a ticket, you go out to the park, look out for these because they really do change the way that the day flows. Lunar New Year is wrapping up, and I have to say this year seemed like a big hit with many of the guests, and it's also Magic Key Holder Month, which I'm still kind of skeptical of. I haven't really seen a ton of things for Magic Key holders to really feel the love or the appreciation. But, some people like free stuff, and there's some free stuff for some people to grab. That's kind of my polite review. And in my really trying to be polite review, I was told that there was going to be some sort of installation for football fans to get involved and be able to play games and win prizes. And I did not assume it would be throwing rubber chickens in skillets. Although it does take skills to get a rubber chicken in said skillet. Bullseye. Got it. But yeah, this is not what I had in mind at all. I was imagining, maybe throwing a football or some sort of fun ESPN NFL co-branded event. I didn't know that we were literally throwing rings on chickens or even throwing chickens to try to win some post-seasoning. Get what they did there? Seasoning. And the postseason begins Monday. So yeah, that was, we'll call it Cringe Fest 2022. I would be embarrassed if that was my marketing project. I really would. I'd hang my head low. Over at DCA, ESPN was filming, and I love this. Hey, we're filming here. If you don't want to be on camera, don't step in front of them or below the crane that was sweeping around at the edge of San Francisco Street, catching all kinds of B-roll of everybody out there celebrating Lunar New Year. It was really interesting to see this installation, and let me tell you, you could tell a lot of money was spent bringing ESPN out to DCA. There's another shot of the crane, so hey, if you don't want to be in the shot, don't stand underneath the crane. I mean, like you could tell you out of the crowd anyways, but so much production goes on with doing a live TV show, and it was fun to watch them get all prepared. Eventually that black scrim would get removed when it was showtime, but what a backdrop DCA provided for ESPN. There you can see the whole kit and caboodle laid out with all of Pixar Pier as this beautiful backdrop. There was a one-sided LED board so that if you were standing behind the commentators on SportsCenter, you could actually follow along with what was going on that video board, although you couldn't see it from the other side. And I had to stay around till nighttime to see them record SportsCenter at 6 p.m., which was actually a lot of fun. You could follow along with the video board there, and the citizens of Disneyland were all out showing their football spirit. And what a backdrop. I mean, what a backdrop. It does not look good on their LED board filmed from my camera, but if you were to go and watch any of the coverage from Pixar Pier, it really, really does look fantastic for an on-location shot. And then look at that. Look at all the citizens of Disneyland. So pumped. Way more Rams fans than Bengals fans, and I'm going to make a prediction, Rams by 10. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen this Sunday, and I will be watching. And I was on ESPN. I was in the bottom corner of the screen, and to be funny, I dabbed, because I like doing things that are way out of style. Soulfully continues to be the reimagining of Black History Month at the Disneyland Resort. I'm going to give Disney a little bit of advice. If you're going to double down on Black History Month, which I think you should, you really need to make some films with more Black heroes in them, because it is a little tiring always seeing Tiana be used, because really that's about it right now. So I think Disney should take it upon themselves to learn how to tell some more Black stories and create more Black heroes, because it gets a little tired seeing the same hero pulled out over and over again. But Black History Month continues to be celebrated resort-wide. These chalk illustrations are so so awesome. Like, chalk is a very, very hard medium, and I am impressed by that. And I went over to Post 21, which is the first ever fully owned black business in downtown Disney. And be quiet, I bought my wife her Valentine's gift here, and I know my wife, she'll be just as happy of where it was purchased as what it is. And the customer service here was really fantastic. Great to see small business popping up in the shadows of the biggest of businesses. But circling back around, the fact that there is only Black Panther and Princess Tiana, it really shows why Sofily is important and why we all need to do better to tell diversity in all of the content and stories that we create. And I'm not just picking on Disney, myself included. I can do better, I can be better, I will try to do better. And as a handful of festivals come to an end, another big one is getting ready to begin, kicking off March 4th and running to April 26th, the Disneyland California Adventure Food and Wine Festival 2022. Now, if you watched our video about the Lunar New Year, I gave you the Sip and Savor Pro tip, which bears repeating to go to one cart, order all your food, and then you just simply take the receipt to the other carts, which saves a tremendous amount of time. And once again, Disney working on diversity will have some Black-owned alcohol businesses serving at Food and Wine, as well as women-owned bakeries. So really trying to make sure that they partner up with businesses, putting some diversity into the park. But the best news to me, and not that that's not important, but Soarin' Over California is coming back for a run. Soarin' Over California. You can have the world. I only want California, the absolute best version of this attraction. Am I right? The Hollywood Backlot and Hollywoodland will be home to an appetizing assortment of entertainment and presentations. Disney Junior's new animated series, Alice in Wonderland's Bakery, is the inspiration behind a limited time festival experience for junior chefs at the Hollywood Backlot stage. Did you hear that? They're going to do something with the spot that I'm so obsessed over. I think all these people are waiting for a show that's never going to begin. The backlot will be full of junior chefs. I cannot wait to see that all come into play. But seriously though, the backlot should be a big home to Food and Wine. There's not a lot going on back here, so instead of making it Avengers Campus on training wheels, let's make it an event space. I mean, it has a very similar layout to what we see over at Pixar Pier, so I like the idea of taking the festival, spreading it all around, and hopefully spreading the crowds around as well. And speaking of spreading it around, there will be events that you can take place at over at Sonoma Terrace, as well as Carthay Circle for people that are hardcore into learning more about food, how to prepare it, and just sort of the fun facts behind it all. I mean, some people like me just eat it, some people like to study it. But yes, Food and Wine Festival returning March 4th to April 26th. Be prepared. Say it ain't so. We're down to just 3 construction projects, soon to be down to 2 because it's been announced that on March 9th, ToonTown will go away for over a year. All right, let's look at what we have seen the last 2 weeks. So what they do is they make right angle steel reinforcement beams, then they attach organic shapes to that. That all needs to get filled in. That creates a sculpture like the mountains or hills of ToonTown that you see right there. So as you can see, last week, we were able to spot a construction worker up there, sanding, smoothing it all over, getting it ready for its next step. This is why I'm so sad we're going to lose this project, because this is an amazing way to be able to fully appreciate a land, is to understand all of the artistry that goes into constructing it. Like watching this dude just grind these edges to get it all smooth for the next stages is, to me, so exciting, because that's how you can fully appreciate those rolling hills behind Mickey's home. So here we are last week. You could see that they were about 3/4 of the way with the concrete application. But now on this week, we are able to see a lot more has happened, right? We're seeing the rough concrete, and then there's where that patchwork stops. I want you to really pay attention to that patchwork there, that white area where you can still see the right angle steel beams in there, because that's a lot of what we're going to talk about this week. So here we go. This whole area through here has been cemented, and now it has that beautiful contour shape. But what I'm sad about is if you see all of those beams protruding from the wall, they're telling us a story of what is getting ready to come. And unfortunately, because of the land closing on the 9th, we won't get to see that story in real time. So let's skew over here. All of those angles, those bars that are coming out from the wall, that's going to be put together just like the rolling hills that we saw. So that means that you can kind of follow those shapes and know that those are going to probably be buildings, or each of those will be different stacks of hills that will add that infinity layer behind Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which right there we're seeing the tower of the El Cartoon Theater, which will have this nice animated type facade that we will go into to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is a fantastic attraction. I got to do it out at Walt Disney World at Hollywood Studios and I absolutely adored it. But you can see now, when you look at a construction project, after you see them put one piece together, you can understand how the other pieces will be built. Like the waffle wall, right? Over to the left, we can see that they're patching it together like they did that upper contour, which means that soon that will be happening on the waffle wall to the right. But all of those beams that stick out from the front will become more of the story. So sad we're going to lose this project so soon. Okay, let's move over to the West End Downtown Disney project and check it out. It's from the back edge of the West End construction project in downtown Disney. We can see that the demolition process is already beginning. Behind me is the edge of Earl of Sandwich and the two abandoned shops, one that used to be a travel agency, another one that had been converted over to a station for filling up balloons. This area over here, we can see the sidewalk starting to get ripped up. And now if we jump over to the back side of the construction area, we can see that this pathway last week where the bushes had just been ripped out, now it's going full on entry point, which to me says last week's prediction on update 12 was accurate, that this is going to be the area where they can bring in heavy equipment for the staging for all of the demolition that's getting ready to happen on the western end of downtown Disney. Now I'm standing on the back corner here where we can see a little bit of construction progress happen, but my prediction is over the next couple of weeks we will see the demo go faster and faster, and soon, as of next week, the monorail will be going down to also give them more space freely away from guests and from attractions to be able to begin this demolition progress to get everything back down to clear dirt so the new project can start to be erected. So here we are. For those of you that are a little bit lost, we're right at the edge of the Paradise Pier Hotel. This is the area that got knocked out. And as you can see, this is just going to be the full-on runway. You know, just some working space to get over to where the actual buildings are going to be demoed. But all of these fences have been kicked out. This whole footprint has been expanded a bit. But think about it. When you're doing some sort of work, you want a workspace, right? To lay out your tools, to sort of have everything laid out so you can grab what you need to grab. That's what that area is becoming. And I can't film a lot over here because it's really close to security, but they're ripping out the gas lines, taking out the sidewalk. And if you look here, you can see the Starbucks sign has already been removed from the old Starbucks that sits right next to the monorail to the edge of the Lego store. So there we see the Starbucks sign that used to live on that nice flat mid-century modern rooftop, and it's already been pulled off. But that's not the only sign that we've seen already taken down, because here you can see the Earl of Sandwich sign that used to sit on that straight red awning there, which did a real cool magic trick. When the sun would shine, it would project the words Earl of Sandwich down on the sidewalk. This isn't the best example of it because it's a little bit bendy, but when the sun was in the perfect spot, it just reinforced the branding, and that sign has already been taken down. So you can see that a couple of big pieces, I'm assuming the pieces that the corporations want to hold on to, have already been pulled down and returned to their rightful owners. But going to be interesting to see this one come together. And lastly, we have the DVC tower that is being built over at the Disneyland Hotel. Not a lot to look at this week, and I'm kind of careful on my filming here because, there's kids in bathing suits and I don't want to seem like a creep. So let's move over to this wall and look at the pile of dirt, which I can't really tell how much it's fluctuating, but I did get to see this, which is really exciting because this is the type of structure that goes down into the ground to create reinforcement for building a foundation. So as soon as we get over the foundational hump and this thing starts to go vertical, then we'll have a lot more to look at. But this is going to be a construction project that is going to last us quite a while because this tower is pretty big and looks like it has a lot of detailing in it. So Even though we have lost the Trams Returning, that construction project's gone, and Mickey and Minnie is going to go away over in ToonTown, this one should keep us interested for a while. And same thing could be said for the West End project over at Downtown Disney. I know it's not as exciting when it's not a new land being built and it's not attractions. I get that. That's not lost on me. But it is really fun to see the shape of the Disneyland Resort constantly change around. And it's the Sim City nature of all this I love. So you can see down there with the rebar, these dudes are getting ready to buzz. And hopefully we'll see a big tower sticking out where there's now the dirt, and we can have some fun stuff to look at. And the tower absolutely looks beautiful. Cannot wait to see this thing come together. There you go, friends, from the edge of the forthcoming DVC Tower, the fourth tower to be erected at the Disneyland Hotel. That is your complete look at all the construction projects happening at the Disneyland Resort this week. Too bad we lost one, but so happy that those Disneyland trams are on their way back. And now another project that I know that you're so excited for. There's a new sidewalk at the corner of Sunset and Hollywood. What do you mean? You're not excited about the new sidewalk? Bro, do you even Disney if you don't care about the sidewalk? Look, the stairs are rolled, but the sidewalk is new. Oh, what's that? You guys got to go? You've been here too long? You got other YouTube videos to watch and kids to raise and things like, oh, you're going to go to the park? Real cool. You're going to leave me here editing a video and you're going to go to the park. Well, then I won't give you all the details of the new sidewalk, but I will say this, friend, thank you so much for showing up and going on this week's update with me. And I will conclude with this thought. Man, ESPN and Disney really picked a great backdrop for the Super Bowl. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I'll be back here next week to update you on everything new that's happening at the Disneyland Resort. Friends, until the next time I see you watching the sun go down, celebrating a Rams Super Bowl victory, I'll see you back here with more Disneyland updates. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all of my friends over at Club 1313 for making this week's video possible and all week's video possible. I love you guys. It's been a great year of Club 1313. Long live the club. Long live our friendship.